Hi children, we continue with our fifth chapter, coal and petroleum. Coal, petroleum and natural gas are known as fossil fuels. They are exhaustible natural resources. In the last class we discussed in detail about the first one, that is coal. Today we will discuss about petroleum. Petroleum. First topic under petroleum is how is petroleum originated, or how is petroleum formed in nature. Origin of petroleum or its formation. Okay, petroleum is originated from organisms living in the sea. So petroleum is formed from organisms living in the sea. Once these organisms died, their bodies got settled at the bottom of the sea. Once these organisms died, their bodies settled at the bottom of the sea, and they were covered with layers of sand and clay. Their bodies got covered with layers of sand and clay. Now you may feel that the process is almost same as that in the case of coal. In coal it was dead vegetation, here it is organisms living in the sea. That's the only difference. So as time passed, their bodies got covered with layers of sand and clay. As more and more sand and clay got deposited over these, what happened? They sank deeper and deeper. So they were compressed and they sank deeper and deeper. Then the temperature also rose. As time passed, over millions of years, in the absence of air, high temperature and high pressure converted these dead organisms into petroleum. Okay, so this is how petroleum is originated or formed in nature. Petroleum is originated from the organisms that live in the sea. Once these organisms died, their bodies got settled. Their bodies settled at the bottom of the sea and was covered with layers of sand and clay. As time passed, more and more sand and clay got deposited over these dead organisms and they were compressed. They sank deeper and deeper and the temperature also rose. Over millions of years, in the absence of air, the high temperature and pressure converted these dead organisms to petroleum and natural gas. So, the formation, when we discuss about natural gas, I won't be explaining its formation again. Petroleum and natural gas are formed together. The same process you can write for natural gas also. I hope it is clear to you. Petroleum is originated, petroleum and natural gas are originated from organisms living in the sea. Once these organisms died, their bodies settled at the bottom of the sea and got covered with layers of sand and clay. And as time passed, more and more sand and clay got deposited over these dead organisms. They were compressed and temperature also rose as they sank deeper and deeper. So over millions of years, in the absence of air, high temperature and pressure converted these dead organisms to petroleum and natural gas. Okay, so that is origin or formation of petroleum. Both are important. How is coal originated in nature? That process is known as carbonization. Here there is no definite name for this process, but the process as such you have to learn. And please don't be confused with both. Coal has vegetative origin. It is formed from dead vegetation, but here it is animals living in the sea. Now the next topic is refining of petroleum. Refining of petroleum. Petroleum is a dark liquid with unpleasant dark oily liquid with an unpleasant smell. So petroleum is a dark oily liquid with an unpleasant smell. It is a mixture of several useful constituents petroleum is a mixture of several useful constituents components like petrol, LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, petrol, diesel, kerosene, etc. So, petroleum is a mixture of several useful constituents like petrol, diesel, kerosene, LPG, etc. And process of separating these constituents or fractions, we call these constituents of petroleum as fractions. Actually, we conducted the same process for coal also, separating the useful constituents of coal like coal tar, coke and coal gas. Here, the useful constituents are separated by a process known as refining. Various constituents are separated by a process called refining. And it is done in a petroleum refinery. The process of refining is carried out in a petroleum refinery. Okay. So, petroleum is a dark oily liquid with an unpleasant smell. It is a mixture of several useful constituents like LPG. What is the full form of LPG? Liquefied petroleum gas. It is not liquid, it is liquefied petroleum gas, petrol, diesel, kerosene, etc. And the process of separating the various constituents or fractions of petroleum is known as petroleum refining, and it is carried out in a petroleum refinery. Now we have to see what are the various constituents or fractions of petroleum and what are their uses. That is very important. Name the various constituents of or fractions of petroleum and mention their uses. So, various constituents of petroleum and their uses. So, there are 7 constituents. The first one is liquefied petroleum gas or LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, simply known as LPG. Now, what are the uses of LPG? It is used as a fuel for home and industry. So, we all have LPG cylinders at home. So, almost all of us use LPG as a fuel for cooking at home. So, it is used as a fuel for home and industry. LPG is used as a fuel for home and industry. Second one is petrol. Petrol is also familiar to you. It is a motor vehicle. It is a motor fuel, aviation fuel. Aviation means air travel. Then solvent for dry cleaning. This dry wash is also known as petrol wash. There water is not used. The solvent used is not water, instead it is petrol. So, it is a motor fuel, aviation fuel and also a solvent for dry cleaning. Then kerosene, mannanna. It is a fuel for stoves, lamps and for jet aircrafts. Nowadays, all of us have electricity at home and also we have LPG to cook food. LPG is used as the fuel to cook food. But earlier, kerosene was the main domestic fuel. When electricity was not there and when this LPG was not known, people used kerosene and they used to cook food in kerosene stoves. So, it is used as a fuel for stove, lamp. So, instead of electric bulb, there were lamps which were used on kerosene and for jet aircraft. So, it is a fuel for stove, lamp and for jet aircraft. Next one is diesel. What is the use of diesel? Diesel is used as a fuel for heavy motor vehicles. Heavy motor vehicles run on diesel and it is used as a fuel in electric generators. Then the fifth one is lubricating oil and its main function is lubrication. In machine parts, in vehicles, etc., lubrication is needed. For that, you might have seen it, lubricating oils used in machine parts. Then paraffin wax, which is used for making ointment, candles, Vaseline, etc. This Vaseline is also known as petroleum jelly. Vaseline is a petroleum product. It is obtained from petroleum. We call it as paraffin wax, ointments, candles and Vaseline. And the last one is bitumen. I told you when we were discussing coal tar, I told you earlier coal tar was used for surfacing of roads, but now instead of coal tar, a petroleum product called bitumen is used for surfacing of roads and it is also used for making paints. Okay, so this is very important. What are the various constituents of petroleum and their uses? What are the constituents? LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. It is a fuel for home and for industry. Second one is petrol, which is used as a motor fuel, aviation fuel and a solvent for dry cleaning. Then the next one is kerosene. which is used as a fuel for stove, lamp and also jet aircraft. Then diesel is a fuel for heavy motor vehicles and also it is used in electric generators. Then lubricating oil, which is used for lubrication. Then paraffin wax, which is used for making ointments, candles and also Vaseline. And the last one is bitumen, which is used for surfacing of roads and also for making paints. The last one may come as one word answer. Name the petroleum product which is used for surfacing of roads. It is bitumen. Okay. Now the next topic is petrochemicals. Petrochemicals. The useful chemical substances. The useful chemical substances obtained from petroleum and natural gas. Petroleum and natural gas are known as petrochemical. Petrochemicals are the useful chemical substances which are obtained from petroleum and natural gas. They are used in the manufacture of many useful substances like detergents, then fibers like polyester, nylon, acrylic, etc. Then plastics, polythene and other man-made plastics. And one more thing is that petroleum is known as black gold. Have you heard of that? Petroleum is known as black gold. Reason is it's great because of its great commercial importance. So we get a lot of useful chemical substances from petroleum. They are known as petrochemicals and they have various uses like in the manufacture of detergents, fibers, plastics, polythene, etc. So because of its great commercial importance, petroleum is also known as black gold. Because of its great commercial importance, petroleum is known as black gold. The various chemical substances which are useful chemical substances obtained from petroleum are known as petrochemicals and they are used in the manufacture of detergents, fibers like nylon, polyester, acrylic, then polythene and other man-made plastics. Petroleum is known as black gold because of its great commercial importance. So that's about petroleum. Thank you children.